Here's a brutal truth. Nobody really cares about your excuses, your pain, or even your potential. Sounds harsh, right? But what if I told you that accepting this is the key to true freedom? Freedom from needing anyone else's approval. Imagine waking up every day owning your life, building your dreams silently, unshaken by applause or criticism. In this video, we're diving deep into 12 Stoic lessons that unlock unstoppable inner power. Ready to stop performing for the world and start living for yourself? Let's get started. Want it more intense or casual? You just heard the hard truth. Nobody really cares. But now let's unpack what that means for your sense of worth. Because in a world obsessed with likes, follows, and instant validation, it's easy to fall into the trap of tying your value to applause, to the cheers, the recognition, the praise. But here's the question that will change everything. Would you still do what you do if no one ever clapped? Take a moment and really think about it. If every post, every project, every step you took went unnoticed, ignored, would you keep moving forward? Would you still wake up and push? Or would you let your motivation fade with the silence? This question strips away the illusion many of us live by. We perform. We act, we speak, we work, often for the approval of others, whether we realize it or not. That applause becomes a fragile foundation to build your identity on, shifting with people's moods, their distractions, their biases. And the moment that applause fades, so does your sense of self. Now, this isn't just about social media or public recognition. It's deeper, more insidious. It's about how much your personal worth depends on what others think of you. The Stoics taught us that real worth does not live in the eyes of others. It doesn't come from fame, fortune, or fanfare. Your true value lives in the alignment between your actions and your values. It's about integrity, honesty, and discipline, especially when no one's watching. Ask yourself, are you being honest, even when it's uncomfortable? Are you showing up for yourself with discipline, even if no one applauds? Are you choosing what's right over what's easy? Because that's where worth begins. Not in the volume of cheers, but in the quiet strength of respect for the person you are becoming. Think of the sun. It doesn't shout for attention. It rises quietly every day, powerful and unwavering. It lights the world without asking for recognition. That's the kind of power you want to embody. Calm, steady, unshakable. Power that doesn't chase admiration but radiates truth. Now let's bring this home. Imagine building your life on your own terms, not the expectations of others. Imagine waking up proud of your efforts, regardless of whether anyone notices. Because if you can answer yes to the question, am I proud of how I showed up today? That is your true applause. That's your power. No one can take away the dignity of a life lived in alignment with your values. That's a worth that doesn't need validation, only honor. But the struggle here is real. It's so easy to seek applause because it feels good. It's human nature to want to be seen, heard, and appreciated. But relying on that external validation makes your identity fragile. It's like building a house on sand, constantly shifting, never secure. What happens when the applause stops? When the likes dry up? When your work goes unnoticed? Does your motivation collapse? Or do you stand firm anyway? This is where the first lesson of Stoicism gets practical. You have to disconnect your worth from applause. You have to find motivation that doesn't depend on crowds cheering you on, but comes from a deep internal commitment to your values. You might be wondering, how do I find that kind of motivation? How do I build a foundation strong enough to stand alone? Start by asking yourself hard questions daily. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Am I chasing approval, or am I following my own principles? Am I living for others' expectations, or am I living authentically? This self-reflection is uncomfortable. It forces you to confront moments when you've acted to please others or softened your truth to fit in. But it's necessary, because without it, you're building your identity on a shaky base. Now, here's an important truth. The applause will never be consistent. People's opinions are fickle. One day you're celebrated. The next day you're ignored or criticized for the exact same thing. If your self-worth is tied to those opinions, you'll be tossed around like a leaf in the wind, never grounded, never stable. Instead, learn to build your worth internally, anchored by your own code. That way, no matter what noise surrounds you, you're steady. Let's talk about some practical ways to start shifting your foundation today. First, practice self-validation. Give yourself credit for your efforts. Celebrate your small wins privately. Recognize your growth without needing others to notice. Second, set clear personal standards. Define what integrity means for you. What principles can you commit to, regardless of external applause? Third, embrace discipline. Show up for yourself daily, even when it's hard, even when no one else sees. Consistency builds character and strength. Fourth, reframe failure. Don't let lack of recognition feel like rejection. See every setback as a lesson, a step toward becoming stronger. Fifth, detach your emotions from outcomes. Focus on the process and your alignment with values, not just the external results. By doing this, you begin cultivating a source of motivation and worth that no one can take away, because it comes from within. And here's the powerful secret. This inner worth will give you freedom. Freedom from anxiety about what others think. Freedom from the exhausting cycle of chasing validation. Freedom to be your authentic self, fully and unapologetically. But there's more. When your worth isn't based on applause, you gain a clarity and peace that ripple through every part of your life. You stop being reactive to praise or criticism. You become more centered, more focused, more resilient. And that's the doorway into the next lesson. Understanding how chasing external validation is a trap that steals your authenticity and holds you captive. So stay with me, because up next, we'll dive deep into why the craving for approval is the worst kind of prison, and how you can break free to live a life true to yourself. Remember, it all starts here, with the realization that your worth isn't based on applause. It's based on the quiet, powerful choices you make when no one's watching. Welcome back. So far, we've uncovered a vital truth. Your worth isn't based on applause. Now, let's take a deeper look at something that often blinds us, the desire for approval. It sounds harmless, even natural, right? Wanting to be liked, wanting to be accepted. But here's the catch. That desire can quickly become a trap. A trap that drains your energy, erodes your authenticity, and slowly chains you to a life dictated by others' expectations. Think about it. From the moment we're born, we're wired to seek approval. A smile from a parent. A gold star from a teacher. Likes on a social post. Those little hits of recognition shape our behavior. They act like fuel, pushing us to act in ways that win us approval. And that's where the problem begins. Because before long, you stop asking yourself, is this right for me? Instead, you start asking, will they approve? And the more you chase that approval, the further you drift from who you really are. You become a performer on a stage you never auditioned for, acting out roles designed to please a crowd, losing touch with the quiet, true self that existed before the applause. Imagine living every day trying to fit into molds created by others, bending yourself to meet their expectations. It's exhausting, isn't it? But the most dangerous part is how subtle it is. This trap isn't loud or obvious. It sneaks in unnoticed, disguising itself as ambition or social savvy. The Stoics saw this clearly. They warned us about the seductive slavery of validation. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, said it plainly. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. What he meant is simple but profound. Real growth often looks messy. It's awkward. It's unpopular. And if you keep chasing approval, you'll never take the risks that lead to true transformation. You'll stay safe, but small. Liked, but lost. Pause here and think about that. How many moments have you held back, stopped yourself from speaking your truth, making a bold choice, stepping into the unknown, because you feared judgment or rejection? How many times have you censored your dreams because they weren't approved by someone else's standards? This need for permission to be yourself is a tragedy. It puts your happiness and growth in someone else's hands. And here's the hard truth. People's opinions are often unreliable. They shift like the wind. One day you're praised, the next criticized for the same thing. If your identity rises and falls with those waves, you'll find yourself drowning in other people's judgments, never anchored, never free. Look around. How many people do you know living lives that aren't truly theirs? Careers chosen to impress family, social media carefully curated for likes, silence in rooms where their voice matters because of fear of judgment. That's the cost of chasing approval. It chips away at your authenticity, one compromise at a time. Worse still, it teaches you to hide your true self, to dim your light so others feel more comfortable, to shrink, to conform, to disappear. But freedom, true freedom, starts the moment you stop needing to be seen. The moment you realize that peace isn't found in applause, but in your ability to stand alone in truth. To say, this is my path. Whether you clap or not. That is strength. That is maturity. That is Stoicism in action. Now here's a powerful thought. Imagine if tomorrow, everyone stopped noticing your effort. Would you still show up? Would you still create, speak your truth, live with discipline? If your answer is no, then your motivation isn't truly yours. It's borrowed, rented from the crowd. But if the answer is yes, then congratulations. You found something rare. A well of power no one can touch. That's the foundation of a real life. So, what does it look like to break free from this trap? First, let go of the need for constant approval. This doesn't mean you stop caring what others think entirely. It means you stop letting their approval define you. Second, give yourself permission to be misunderstood. Accept that not everyone will get your choices or your path. That's okay. Being fully yourself sometimes means walking alone. Third, cultivate inner validation. Become your own strongest supporter. Develop a relationship with yourself that's based on respect, not approval. Fourth, embrace discomfort. Growth often means feeling awkward, isolated, or challenged. Don't run from those feelings, lean into them. Breaking free is not easy. It's a process, but with each step, you reclaim your energy and your peace. And here's the exciting part. When you stop living for approval, you start living for yourself. You start aligning your life with your values, your vision, your truth. And that leads us perfectly into the next lesson, the art of focusing only on what you can control. Because once you're free from the chains of approval, your energy becomes precious. You want to invest it where it truly matters, in what's within your power. So get ready. Next, we'll explore how mastering your focus on controllable things unlocks resilience, clarity, and peace like you've never known. Remember, the desire for approval is a trap, but awareness is your key to freedom. Welcome back. So far, we've uncovered two powerful truths. Your worth isn't tied to applause, and the desire for approval is a trap that pulls you away from your true self. Now let's shift gears and zero in on a principle that's central to Stoicism, and frankly, essential for mental freedom, focusing on what you can control. Take a moment to ask yourself, how much of your stress, anxiety, or frustration comes from trying to fix things that simply aren't in your hands? Maybe it's traffic that makes you late, or the opinions people hold about you, the timing of opportunities that never seem to align, the unpredictable behavior of friends, family, or coworkers. We often expend so much mental energy wrestling with these things, as if worrying hard enough could somehow bend reality to our will. But it never does. Worrying doesn't change the facts. It doesn't reorder the traffic jam, change someone's mindset, or speed up a delayed flight. This is where Stoicism cuts through the noise with razor-sharp clarity. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic thinkers, said it simply, "Some things are up to us, and some things are not." Wisdom begins when you truly learn the difference. What's up to you? Your thoughts, your choices, your attitudes, the way you respond to whatever life throws at you. Everything else? That's noise. This doesn't mean you stop caring about people, or planning for the future, or making efforts to improve your situation. It means you stop suffering over things you have zero power to change. You stop demanding the world behave the way you want, and instead, you start choosing how you behave, no matter what happens around you. Imagine two people face the exact same challenge. One spirals into panic, blame, and resistance. The other pauses, takes a deep breath, and calmly asks, "What can I do right now?" That moment, that shift, is where real power lives. Not power over the outcome, because outcomes are often out of our hands, but power over yourself. Life becomes less about controlling the storm, and more about becoming the calm within it. Let's apply this to something we all face, relationships. You can't control whether someone stays in your life, loves you the way you hoped, or recognizes your worth. But you can control how you treat yourself in their absence. You can choose dignity over desperation, stillness over chasing, clarity over confusion. By doing so, you reclaim your strength, not by changing others, but by changing how much power you give away. Even in small things. Maybe your boss is in a bad mood. You can't control that, but you can control how you respond, with patience, professionalism, or silence. The economy may be unstable. That's not under your control either. But you can control how you budget, how you adapt, how you prepare. That's not weakness. That's precision. That's a focused life. A life that doesn't scatter energy chasing ghosts, but stays rooted in what can actually be shaped. And here's the beautiful paradox. The more you focus on what's in your control, the more influence you gain. Not over others, but over your own experience. You become less reactive, less anxious, less bitter. Why? Because you're no longer fighting reality. You're working with it. This is what the Stoics called living according to nature. It means aligning yourself with the rhythm of things instead of resisting what is. So right now, ask yourself, what am I holding on to that isn't mine to fix? What energy am I wasting trying to force things outside my hands? And most importantly, what is in my control today? What's one thing you can do, with focus, with integrity, with presence? That's where peace begins. Not in controlling the world, but in mastering yourself within it. This mindset shift is more than philosophical. It's practical, it's liberating, and it creates a foundation for every other lesson we'll explore. Now, here's the thing. Focusing on what you can control doesn't mean ignoring problems or challenges. It means choosing your battles wisely. It means not wasting emotional energy on things that drain you without payoff. Imagine a river. Trying to control everything is like trying to hold back a rushing river with your hands. But focusing on what you can control is like learning to navigate the currents, steering your boat skillfully rather than fighting the waves. It's not easy, but it's the path to lasting calm. Think about your daily life. How often do you get upset over things that, in reality, you can't change? That rude comment online, the unexpected traffic jam, the missed opportunity, a friend's criticism. Each time you react emotionally to something outside your control, you're surrendering your power. But when you recognize the boundary between what's yours and what's not, you stop giving away your peace. You keep your energy for the battles that matter. For your thoughts, your habits, your actions. And that is real freedom. So how do you practice this? Start with awareness. The next time you feel frustration rising, pause and ask yourself, is this something I can change? Or am I wasting energy on what's beyond me? If it's beyond your control, remind yourself, let it go. I choose how I respond. If it's within your control, ask, what's the next right step I can take? This small pause, that moment of clarity, is a powerful tool. Over time, it rewires your brain. You begin to respond with intention instead of reacting with emotion. You become the anchor in every storm. This lesson is about reclaiming your mental space, your emotional sovereignty, your ability to choose calm over chaos. As we close this chapter, remember, not everything deserves your attention. Not everything deserves your worry. Save your strength for what you can influence. And that leads us naturally to our next lesson, living for your inner standards, not for the crowd. Because once you focus on what's in your control, you realize the only approval you truly need comes from within. So get ready. Next, we dive into how staying true to your own values in a noisy world builds an unshakable foundation. Because when you live by your inner compass, external chaos loses its power over you. Welcome back. Now that we've explored the power of focusing on what you can control, let's move deeper into the heart of true inner strength. Living by your own inner standards, not by the ever-shifting approval of the crowd. Think about it. How often do you find yourself caught in the pressure to conform? To fit in with what's popular, what's trending, what others expect of you? Society is loud, constantly shouting what's right and what's wrong, but it changes its mind faster than you can blink. Today's heroes become tomorrow's villains. What's praised now might be ridiculed next year. If your sense of self, your decisions, even your happiness depend on the opinions of others, you're building on a shaky foundation. You're chasing a moving target that will never bring lasting peace. This is where Stoicism offers a powerful and timeless antidote. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers and a Roman emperor, wrote this. The approval of the crowd is a weak and unstable foundation. Why? Because the crowd doesn't know you. It doesn't understand your unique path, your values, or your truth. It rewards what's loud, what's flashy, or what's popular, not what's right, meaningful, or authentic. Imagine trying to navigate your life with a compass that points wherever the crowd decides. You'd be lost in a storm. But your inner standards? They're like a true north, constant, reliable, unchanging. Living by your inner standards means anchoring yourself in a personal code of ethics and values that resonate deeply with who you are. It means choosing integrity over convenience, truth over popularity, and courage over comfort. Picture this. You're at a job where cutting corners gets rewarded. Everyone's doing it. The easy path is the popular path. You're told, just follow the system. Don't overthink it. Do you go along? Or do you hold the line, even if it costs you? Or imagine a group of friends who bond by mocking others. You have two choices. Stay silent to keep the peace or speak up, even if it makes things awkward. These moments may seem small, even insignificant, but they define who you are. Each choice carves out your character. They tell the world, and more importantly yourself, who you are. The more you practice living by your inner standards, the stronger you become. Not louder or showier. Stronger, unshakable. You walk into a room and you don't need to perform. You don't need to impress. You don't need to shrink yourself to fit someone else's mold. You simply are clear, grounded, true. But here's the truth. Sometimes living authentically is lonely. Sometimes people won't understand you. They'll question your choices. They'll criticize your silence or your boundaries. But that's the price of authenticity, and it's worth every step. Because what's the alternative? Living a life that pleases others but betrays yourself? That's not peace. That's quiet torment. Ask yourself this. If no one ever approved of your life, would you still be proud of it? If your actions were judged only by your own conscience, would you feel aligned? These questions matter more than any applause ever could. Because at the end of the day, you're the one who has to live with yourself. When your head hits the pillow, it's not the crowd's voice echoing in your mind. It's yours. Living by your inner standards means cultivating emotional independence. You can love people without needing their validation. You can hear feedback without abandoning your center. You can be open to growth without becoming a reflection of everyone else's desires. That's strength. That's maturity. It's a freedom few truly understand. This lesson isn't about arrogance or rejecting connection. It's about refusing to betray yourself for the sake of being liked. It's about building a relationship with your own voice so strong that even the loudest critics can't drown it out. Now, you might wonder, how do I discover these inner standards? Where do I find the clarity to live by them? Start by asking yourself, what values are non-negotiable for me? What kind of person do I want to be, regardless of who's watching? When have I felt most authentic and at peace? What choices have led me away from myself? It takes reflection and courage to answer honestly. But once you identify your core values, hold them close. Let them guide your decisions. When faced with pressure to conform, remind yourself, this is my path, whether others cheer or not. This mindset is a profound act of self-respect. It protects you from the exhaustion of trying to please everyone. It frees you from the trap of external validation. And it prepares you for the next powerful lesson, how to maintain equanimity in the face of praise and criticism. Because living by your inner standards doesn't mean you won't face judgment. You will. But when your worth is rooted deeply in yourself, not others' opinions, you can navigate criticism and praise with grace. You're no longer tossed around by every wave of external approval or disapproval. You stand firm, anchored in your truth. That's a skill and a freedom worth mastering. So as you move forward, remember, true peace doesn't come from fitting in. It comes from standing out. From living a life that's authentically yours. Because real power doesn't come from being seen. It comes from knowing who you are, even when no one's watching. And that leads us to our next lesson. Lesson 5, why praise and criticism should mean the same to you. Because to walk your path with inner strength, you need to handle the highs and lows of others' opinions without losing your center. Stay with me, we're just getting started. Welcome back. If you've been with me so far, you already know the power of living by your inner standards, standing firm in your truth even when the crowd is silent or judgmental. But life isn't just about what you decide inside. It's also about how you handle the world's reactions, the praise and the criticism that come your way. Here's a truth that many struggle with. Praise and criticism are two sides of the same coin, and both can control you if you're not careful. Think about it for a moment. Praise feels good, right? That warm rush of validation, the dopamine hit that says, you're on the right track. It feels like sunlight after a storm. Compliments boost your confidence. They remind you that what you're doing matters. But criticism, that sting, the tightness in your chest, the urge to defend yourself, to explain, to fix, it can feel like a punch to the gut. It rattles your foundation. It makes you question everything you thought was solid. Here's the thing, both praise and criticism come from outside you. They're external judgments. And if your peace rises and falls with them, if your mood, your confidence, your sense of worth depends on what others say, then your life is still in someone else's hands. Who really has the power when an insult ruins your day? Or when a compliment makes you feel invincible? Not you. It's the voice of others, and that means you've given them control over your inner world. Stoicism teaches us to practice a radical kind of indifference, not coldness or arrogance, but steady calm in the face of both extremes. Epictetus, the great Stoic philosopher, said it clearly. If you are ever tempted to look for outside approval, realize that you have compromised your own integrity. Every time you let someone else's opinion define your self-worth, you hand over the keys to your peace. And slowly, almost without noticing, you become addicted. Addicted to noise, to applause, to validation. or addicted to silence, feeling small and invisible when praise is absent. Let's be real, this is exhausting. Imagine you've poured your heart into a project, a conversation, a creative work. One person praises you, and you feel on top of the world. Another criticizes you, and the rest of your day spirals downward. Did the work change? Did the value of your effort suddenly shift? No, only your perception changed, because you allowed your emotions to be hostage to external voices. That's why the Stoic path is about deepening your sense of where true value lives. It's not about ignoring feedback. Feedback is essential for growth. It's a tool, not a tyrant. You take what helps you improve, and you leave the rest behind. You say, "Thank you for the input," but then you return to a deeper question. Did I live up to my values today? Because that, and only that, is yours to judge. Even praise can become a prison. If your drive to be seen overshadows your need to be true, you start shaping your words to win approval. You soften your truth just to keep people happy. You play roles instead of showing up real. Slowly, the applause that once felt like support becomes a leash. You chase it not because it feels good, but because you don't know who you are without it. The Stoic, the person on the path to inner power, lives differently. They receive praise with humility. They accept criticism with grace. But neither defines their worth. They know what matters most is what they think of themselves when no one else is watching. When the room goes quiet, when the noise fades, when there's no one left to impress, that's where freedom is born. Ask yourself today, would I still choose this action, this decision, this way of being, if no one ever praised me? If someone criticized me harshly, would my confidence break? Or would it bend and stand firm? When praise and criticism become equal in your heart, not in emotion, but in weight, then you've found something rare. You found stability. You found yourself. This lesson is about reclaiming your power over your emotions. It's about building a fortress inside that no external storm can shake. And when you master this, you'll notice something incredible. You become more consistent in your actions, less reactive to the unpredictable opinions of others, more anchored in your truth. And that steady presence draws respect. People sense it. You don't need to shout to be heard. Your calm strength speaks volumes. Now let's connect this to what comes next. Because this journey of mastering yourself doesn't stop here. It goes deeper. Lesson 6 explores the revolutionary idea that your value is self-created. It's not handed to you by titles, achievements, or external rewards. Your worth is forged in the daily choices you make, the discipline, courage, and integrity you live by, even when no one is watching. Understanding this will change everything about how you see yourself and your life. So take a breath. Absorb this truth. Praise and criticism are fleeting shadows. Your true worth stands firm in your own heart. And now, get ready to step into the next powerful lesson, where you learn to build your value from the inside out. Welcome back. If you've absorbed the truth from the last lesson, that praise and criticism shouldn't dictate your sense of worth, then you're ready for what comes next. Because this is where it gets truly empowering. Lesson 6, your value is self-created. Think about it. Where does your value really come from? Is it from the degrees you hold? The job title on your business card? The followers you've gained? Or the paycheck that arrives every month? Many of us have been conditioned to believe that our worth is tied to external markers, awards, validation, status, things outside our control. But here's the raw truth the Stoics teach us. Your value is not given. It's forged. It is built, brick by brick, in the choices you make every single day. It's in the small moments when no one's watching, waking up early to show up for your goals, holding back frustration when it would be easier to lash out, choosing honesty even when a lie would be simpler. This is where true value lives, not in headlines or hashtags, but in discipline, courage, and integrity. Seneca, one of the great Stoics, wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. And in wasting it, we often delay becoming who we truly are." Your value grows when you stop waiting for someone else to hand it to you and start claiming it through consistent action. Imagine the person who quietly builds their worth by keeping promises to themselves and others. They may not have the flashiest resume or the loudest voice in the room, but they carry themselves differently. They don't need to prove anything. Their presence says, "I am someone worthy of respect." On the other hand, those who constantly chase external validation are vulnerable. A single rejection can crush them. A small failure can shatter their image. They're always performing, trying to be someone, instead of becoming themselves. That is not living. That is surviving. Stoicism is not just a philosophy, it's a call to live fully and authentically. When you stop outsourcing your value, everything shifts. You set higher standards, not out of pride, but out of purpose. You stop begging for acknowledgement because you already know who you are. You walk away from toxic situations, not out of spite, but because they no longer align with your identity. Most importantly, you protect your time, your focus, and your energy because you understand how precious they are. So next time you question your worth, don't look outside. Look inward. Ask yourself, am I showing up in a way that I admire? Am I becoming who I promised myself I would be? If the answer is yes, then your value is intact, even if no one else sees it. And if it's not yet yes, good. Because that means you still hold the power to build, to improve, to become. Your value is not something to find. It's something you forge through fire, honesty, and daily self-respect. And that journey is yours alone. It's a powerful shift, realizing you don't need others to define your worth. That freedom opens doors to deeper confidence, resilience, and peace. You become your own anchor in the storm. Now, as we prepare to dive deeper, remember, this is only the beginning. Next, in Lesson 7, we explore a strength that many overlook, but that forms the bedrock of your resilience and power. Inner courage, the quiet, unshakable strength that fuels every step forward, even when no one is watching. Because building your value is the foundation, but courage is the engine that drives you to live it out, day after day. So take this lesson with you. Know that your worth is not a gift, it is your creation. And get ready to discover how inner courage will transform that creation into unbreakable strength. Welcome back. You've learned that your value is something you build from within, not something handed to you by others. Now it's time to explore the force that turns that value into action, the courage that fuels every bold step you take when no one's watching. Lesson 7. Inner courage is quiet but powerful. When you hear the word courage, what comes to mind? Most people think of grand gestures, the loud, heroic acts that capture headlines, the dramatic moments of defiance or bravery. Maybe it's standing on a stage, leading a crowd, or risking everything for a cause. But here's what the Stoics remind us. Real courage is often silent. It's not about the applause or recognition. It's the quiet strength that keeps you moving forward when the world is unaware. It's the resolve to be true to yourself, even when no one else understands. Think about those moments in your life, when you choose honesty over convenience, when you stand firm on your principles despite the pressure to conform. That is courage. Epictetus, the great Stoic philosopher, said it best. You may fetter my leg, but my will not even Zeus himself can overpower. This isn't about physical strength or flashy courage. It's about the unbreakable will inside you, the inner compass that no one can take away. Life will challenge you in countless ways. Comfort zones will tempt you to settle. Fear will whisper that it's safer to blend in, to keep quiet, to shrink yourself. But courage, real courage, is choosing to show up authentically anyway. It's speaking your truth even if your voice shakes. It's walking away from what no longer serves you, even if it means standing alone. It's sitting with discomfort, fear, or grief, and not letting them define you. This kind of courage often goes unnoticed, but it's the backbone of growth and resilience. Imagine someone facing anxiety every day but still choosing to step out, to engage, to grow. Imagine someone grieving a loss, yet waking up early to keep their commitments. Imagine someone afraid of failure, but still sharing their work with the world. These quiet acts of courage are the true rebellions against weakness. The mistake many make is waiting for a surge of confidence, a sudden, powerful feeling of bravery, before taking action. But courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's the whisper in the dark that says, I will try again tomorrow. And that whisper? That small, steady voice is enough to change your life. This is courage in motion, consistent, silent, persistent. And here's the powerful truth. When you act from this inner courage, you begin to trust yourself. And when you trust yourself, the opinions, judgments, and fears of others lose their grip. That's where true resilience is born. Not from pretending to be strong in front of the world, but from being quietly strong inside. The Stoic walks their path not for applause, but because it is right. That quiet courage becomes an invisible armor, impenetrable and enduring. So now, ask yourself, where in your life are you waiting for permission to be brave? What choices are you avoiding because you fear looking foolish, standing alone, or being misunderstood? What would change if you honored that inner voice, even if it made you uncomfortable? Because courage isn't always about heroic acts. It's about showing up, again and again, with honesty, integrity, and strength. And when you do, you build a foundation for everything that follows. Now, as we prepare to move forward, know this. Inner courage is the key to building your inner citadel, the fortress of calm and clarity that protects you no matter the storms outside. In Lesson 8, we'll explore how to build that inner fortress, how to create a sanctuary of strength and peace that no external chaos can shake. So hold on to this courage. Let it fuel your next steps. Because your quiet strength today becomes your unshakable foundation tomorrow. Welcome back. You've just discovered how inner courage, that quiet, powerful strength, is the fuel that drives you forward, even when no one else is watching. Now it's time to build the fortress that shields that courage, your true self, from the chaos of the world. Lesson 8. Build your inner citadel. Life is unpredictable. Storms will come. People will let you down. Plans will fall apart. And when those moments hit, where do you turn? Where do you find your refuge? The Stoics taught us not to wait until the storm is raging to build safety. That's like trying to build a house while the hurricane is already knocking at your door. Instead, build your inner citadel, a sanctuary within your mind, your spirit, your character, one that no external force can reach or destroy. Marcus Aurelius said it beautifully in his Meditations. People try to retreat to the country, to the beach, to the mountains. You can retreat into yourself anytime you want. This citadel isn't made of bricks or stone, but clarity, discipline, and unwavering principles. It's a place of calm and strength that lives inside you, accessible at any moment. So what does it mean to build your inner citadel? It means training your mind to stay calm when emotions flare. It means preparing your soul to stand firm when life disappoints you. It means knowing your values so deeply that nothing outside can confuse or shake them. Every day, through small choices, you lay the foundation of this fortress. Every time you pause before reacting, every moment you choose integrity over impulse, you build walls thicker than fear or doubt. Imagine this. Someone publicly insults you. Do you snap back in anger, or do you breathe deeply and respond from principle? That moment of calm control, that space between stimulus and reaction, is your citadel in action. Or picture losing something precious, a job, a relationship, an opportunity. Do you fall apart, or do you remember that your true value isn't tied to what you lose, but who you are throughout the process? Your inner citadel is your anchor. And like any stronghold, it must be built daily. Through journaling, reflection, meditation, or simply holding yourself accountable, brick by brick, your citadel grows stronger. Don't mistake this for emotional detachment. This isn't about shutting down or suppressing feelings. It's about mastering your emotions so they no longer control you. It's the difference between being tossed by life's storms and standing steady within them. It allows you to love without clinging, to lead without arrogance, to lose without breaking. But here's the truth. No one can build this for you. No book, no mentor, no philosophy can do it alone. It's built through your daily actions, your resilience, your commitment to showing up for yourself. So ask yourself now, what does my citadel look like? Is it built on solid, unshakable principles? Or is it constructed from shallow beliefs, quick fixes, or others' opinions? Do I even know it's there when life feels overwhelming? Because the storms will come, that's guaranteed. But whether you are destroyed by them or refined by them depends entirely on what you've built inside. And when your citadel stands strong, you realize something powerful. No matter what happens outside, you are already home. As we move to our next lesson, remember, this inner fortress you build is the foundation for continuous growth. In Lesson 9, we'll explore how daily reflection becomes a tool of power, a way to deepen your self-awareness and strengthen your citadel even more. For now, hold on to this. Your inner citadel is your sanctuary. Build it with patience, with purpose, with love for yourself. Because peace isn't found in the world. It's created from within. Welcome back. You've built your inner citadel, that powerful fortress of calm and strength that shields you from life's storms. Now it's time to fortify it even further with a practice as old as philosophy itself, daily reflection. Lesson 9, Daily Reflection for Growth. In today's fast-paced world, we're conditioned to keep moving, keep pushing, keep doing. But real growth, it requires something different, stillness. A moment to pause, look inward, and truly reflect on our day, our choices, our actions. The Stoics knew this well. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, said, "Each day I examine my conscience. I look back over my actions and words." This wasn't about dwelling on mistakes or indulging in guilt. It was about power. The power to learn, to improve, to become better, one day at a time. Daily reflection isn't about perfection. It's about responsibility. It's about asking yourself tough questions. Where did I act with strength today? Where did I fall short? What patterns am I repeating? What emotions ruled me? Fear, anger, impatience. And how can I change that tomorrow? By taking time to honestly answer these questions, you build awareness. And awareness is the gateway to growth. Imagine ending your day with just 5 quiet minutes. No distractions, no screens, just you and your thoughts. You replay moments from the day, maybe realizing you reacted from insecurity or caught yourself before anger took over. You celebrate small wins, acknowledge progress. That simple act rewires your mind to respond with more intention, less impulsivity. Over time, this builds a new identity. You stop just trying to live with integrity. You become a person of integrity. Not because you're flawless, but because you face your flaws honestly. You grow without needing anyone else to applaud you. This is the quiet revolution of daily reflection, invisible on the surface, but deeply transformative beneath. And there's another gift: peace. When you reflect deeply, your mind slows. You sleep better. Your heart is free from tangled regrets and unanswered questions. You've already met the day, made peace with it, or planned to do better. That's freedom. So right now, ask yourself, what did I learn about myself today? If the answer is nothing, it's not because nothing happened. It's because you weren't present enough to see it. But tomorrow offers a new chance. Remember, reflection isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. Because growth, real lasting growth, demands stillness. It demands honesty. And above all, it demands you. As we prepare to move forward, remember this practice will be your anchor. In the next lesson, we'll explore a surprising truth: how owning your vulnerability becomes your greatest strength. For now, embrace this moment. Build your inner citadel with reflection. Because you can't become stronger without knowing yourself deeply. Welcome back. We've talked about building your inner citadel and the power of daily reflection. Now let's dive into a lesson that might feel counterintuitive at first, but it's one of the most powerful steps on your journey to inner strength. Lesson 10. Own your vulnerability to transform it into strength. Most of us grow up with a simple but damaging idea that vulnerability is weakness, that showing fear, doubt, or uncertainty means we're fragile, unprepared, or not strong enough. We put on emotional armor, we mask our true feelings with bravado, pretend we're fine even when we're not, hide our struggles behind smiles or silence. It's a survival strategy, but it's also a slow erosion of our true power. The Stoics didn't believe in denying or suppressing emotion. They taught us to master it by facing it head-on. Seneca said, "He who is brave is free." Bravery doesn't mean pretending you have no fear. It means looking fear in the eye and saying, "You will not control me." That's the essence of vulnerability, not hiding from your emotions, but owning them. Imagine this. You're overwhelmed, anxious, or uncertain. Maybe you feel lost or afraid. Instead of hiding that, you pause. You acknowledge it first to yourself, then maybe to someone you trust. You don't do this to seek pity or approval. You do it to take ownership. And when you do, something shifts. You're no longer running from your feelings. You're standing fully present in them. That moment, that confrontation with your true self, is where transformation begins. It's where clarity returns. Because when you stop pretending, you free up the energy you were using to maintain the illusion of strength. Vulnerability is honesty. It's maturity. It's courage. And in a world addicted to image and appearances, honesty is rare and powerful. Think about it. The most respected leaders, the strongest people, they don't show strength by hiding their struggles. They show strength by owning them, by admitting when they don't have all the answers, by asking for help when needed. That's what real strength looks like. Now, this doesn't mean you spill all your thoughts and feelings to everyone. Vulnerability isn't oversharing or emotional exhibitionism. It means having the courage to be real with yourself first, and then with those who have earned the right to witness your truth. It means choosing when and where to lower your armor in a way that deepens connection and builds trust. And when you do this, something unexpected happens. You become more resilient. Not because you avoid pain, but because you've met it before. You've walked through it. You've learned it doesn't break you, it builds you. Let's bring this down to everyday life. Imagine you made a mistake at work or in a relationship. The easy route is to deflect blame, justify yourself, or pretend it didn't matter. The Stoic route is to admit it plainly. I messed up. No theatrics. No self-hate. Just clarity and ownership. That act of ownership is vulnerability in action. And it earns respect, not just from others, but from yourself. It also unlocks deeper connection. People don't bond over perfection. They bond over shared humanity, over the admission of struggle, the confession of doubt, the willingness to say, I don't have it all figured out, but I'm trying. That's real strength. That's leadership. That's presence. That kind of presence makes others feel safe to be honest, too. And here's the paradox. The more you own your vulnerability, the less vulnerable you become. Not because the emotions disappear, but because they no longer control you. You've met them, named them, integrated them. What once felt like chaos becomes insight. What once felt like shame becomes wisdom. So ask yourself right now, what am I hiding from myself? What part of me needs to be seen? Not by the world, but by me. Because pretending to be strong, always putting on a mask, is exhausting. But being real, grounded, whole, that's where your real power lives. And that power begins the moment you stop running from your truth and start walking with it. Now, why is owning vulnerability so transformative? Because it frees you from the cycle of avoidance. It frees you from the toxic shame that keeps you stuck. When you face your fears, your doubts, your failures, instead of running from them, you disarm their power. They no longer dictate your actions or steal your peace. Vulnerability invites growth. It invites courage. It invites connection. And connection is what we all need, even if we sometimes fear it. We fear being misunderstood, rejected, or judged. But true connection, real, deep connection, only happens when we show up authentically. When we let down our walls and let others see us, not the image we want to project, but the real, messy, imperfect human inside. That authenticity is magnetic. It draws people in. It creates bonds that last. But I won't pretend this is easy. Owning vulnerability takes courage. It requires practice. You will feel exposed. You might face judgment. You might be tempted to retreat. But remember, courage is not the absence of fear. It's acting despite fear. It's choosing growth over comfort. It's saying yes to your truth, even when it's hard. And every time you do this, your inner strength grows. You build a foundation no external force can shake. This lesson ties deeply into what we'll cover next. How to use pain as fuel for resilience. Because vulnerability is often the gateway to transformation through hardship. It's the moment you stop hiding your wounds and start using them to build unshakable strength. So as you move forward, I challenge you. Start owning your vulnerability. Name what you're feeling. Share it with someone who deserves your trust. Take ownership of your story. Because when you do, you step into a new level of freedom. A freedom that doesn't depend on perfection, control, or approval. A freedom that comes from being real, with yourself and with the world. And that's true power. Welcome back. So far, we've explored how owning your vulnerability is a doorway to true strength. Now, let's take that a step further. Lesson 11 is about one of the most profound transformations a person can make. Transforming pain into strength. Pain is inevitable. Life will bring you heartbreak, failure, rejection, disappointment, and loss. No one escapes it. But how you respond to pain, that is where your power lies. The Stoics taught us that pain is not just an obstacle to endure, it's a teacher to embrace. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, every challenge, every hardship is an opportunity for growth, if you allow it to be. Think about it. What if your worst moments held the key to your greatest strength? What if the very pain you wish to avoid is actually the forge that shapes you into who you're meant to become? This isn't just philosophical theory. It's practical, hard-earned wisdom. Pain reveals where you're attached, where you've grown comfortable or complacent. It exposes your fears, your weaknesses, your unresolved struggles. And it demands that you face these parts of yourself or remain stuck. The choice is yours. Do you let pain break you? Or do you let it build you? Most people wait for pain to pass, to disappear, to subside, before they move forward. But the Stoic leans in. They ask, what is this pain here to teach me? What can I learn? Pain becomes information. It shows you where to grow stronger, where to become wiser, where to find new meaning. Imagine the most resilient people you know. Are they untouched by pain? Of course not. They've walked through fire. They've been broken down. But they didn't lose themselves. Instead, they came out clearer, more focused, more grounded. Not bitter, but boundaried. Their eyes tell a story. I've seen hardship. I've lost things. But I didn't lose me. That is resilience. Not the absence of wounds, but the refusal to be defined by them. Let's get real. You've been betrayed or hurt deeply. You have a choice. Do you close your heart forever? Or do you open it with more discernment and strength? You've failed or faced public shame. Do you avoid risk now? Or do you rise again, wiser and more prepared? You feel lost or overwhelmed? Do you distract yourself endlessly? Or do you sit with the discomfort until it reveals something deeper? These moments aren't glamorous. They don't look heroic in movies. They happen quietly, in your car, your room, in the space between who you were and who you're becoming. Resilience is forged in those spaces. Not when life is easy, but when you're uncertain, afraid, and still choose to act with courage. You still choose to show up. You still choose to believe in something bigger than temporary pain. That's how pain becomes fuel. Not by ignoring it, not by denying it, but by alchemizing it, turning it into a source of power. Remember this: no one escapes pain. Not the strong, not the wise, not even the Stoics. What sets them apart is how they use pain. They see it not as punishment or misfortune, but as practice, as sharpening, as preparation. It doesn't make life easier, but it makes you stronger. So next time life brings you to your knees, feel it fully. Cry, grieve, break if you need. But don't stop there. Don't get stuck in defeat. Ask yourself, how can I grow from this? What kind of person does this pain invite me to become? Because if you let it, your pain will become the very path that sets you free. This lesson naturally leads us to our final topic. Lesson 12, walking your own path, not living for others' reactions. Because once you transform pain into strength, you'll realize your journey is unique. And no one else's approval can direct it. That's where true freedom lies. Welcome back. We've journeyed far, from owning your vulnerability to transforming pain into strength. Now it's time for the final lesson, a lesson about freedom, authenticity, and unshakable self-direction. Lesson 12. Follow your own path, not others' reactions. This might sound simple on the surface, but it's one of the hardest truths to live by. Every day, we face an invisible crowd. Their eyes, their judgments, their expectations, all silently shaping how we move through life. Will they approve? Will they support me? Will they understand my choices? This constant weighing of others' reactions can easily become a prison. When your direction depends on their approval, you're no longer on your own path. You're a puppet dancing to the strings of external voices. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Why? Because real growth often looks strange to others. It's uncomfortable. It doesn't fit neat boxes. It often requires walking alone, misunderstood, questioned, even criticized. But that is the cost of true freedom. You're not here to please everyone. You're here to be true to yourself. Think about your life as a road. Some will walk beside you. Some will fall behind. Some will question every step. But their discomfort isn't your burden to carry. Your responsibility is to stay committed to your values, your growth, your purpose. When you do that, something incredible happens. The noise, the opinions, the judgments, the pressure, they don't disappear. But they stop determining your direction. Imagine choosing your next step based on clarity, not on who's watching or what they think. Imagine pursuing goals that don't make sense to everyone else. Imagine setting boundaries that make others uncomfortable. Imagine honoring your truth, even if it costs you connection or approval. Because living as a mirror to others' comfort is not living. It's a slow death of your authenticity. This is not arrogance. It's maturity. It's emotional independence. You can love people without living for their validation. You can listen to feedback without abandoning your center. You can grow without becoming a reflection of everyone else's desires. That is strength. That is freedom. Now ask yourself this. If no one clapped for your efforts, if no one agreed with your choices, if no one said a word, would you still walk your path? If the answer is yes, then you've found something rare. A life rooted in self-respect. A direction powered by purpose. A journey guided not by reactions, but by reason. That kind of life doesn't just lead to success, it leads to freedom. You don't need applause. You don't need permission. You don't need to explain your path to those never meant to walk it with you. What you need is alignment, not with the world, but with your soul. Because true strength comes from standing firm when no one is watching. True peace isn't found in praise. It's found in becoming someone you don't need to escape from. The Stoics never promised that this path would be easy, but they promised it would be worth it. You are not at the mercy of external noise, opinions, moods, or chaos. You are the architect of your character. You are the builder of your citadel. And every day you choose. Stay small and safe, or rise quietly, intentionally, with discipline and purpose. Don't wait for life to reward you. Become the reward. Live with such clarity that praise feels unnecessary. With such integrity that criticism feels irrelevant. With such purpose that distraction becomes impossible. Because, in the end, nobody truly cares as much as you think they do. And that, paradoxically, is your freedom. Now is the time to focus on your life. Build it into something that doesn't just impress others, but makes you proud. Thank you for walking this journey with me. If these lessons gave you something to think about, share them with someone who might need this message. And if you're walking your own quiet path, I see you. Keep going. We've arrived at the end of this journey. 12 powerful lessons rooted in Stoic wisdom, designed to help you claim your inner power, break free from the chains of approval, and live a life truly your own. Remember, none of this is about impressing others. It's about becoming so grounded, so authentic, so disciplined that the noise of the world fades away, leaving only the clarity of your own purpose. You've learned why your worth isn't based on applause, why chasing validation is a trap, and why the only true control you have is over your own mind and actions. You've discovered the importance of living by your inner standards, embracing both praise and criticism with calm steadiness, and forging your value from the inside out. You've uncovered the quiet strength of inner courage, built your unshakable citadel within, and embraced the power of daily reflection, all essential steps on this path to mastery. You've owned your vulnerability, transforming it into real strength. You've learned how to turn pain into fuel, and above all, you've committed to following your own path, not the reactions of others. So now the real question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you let it sit idle, or will you take action? Because wisdom without action is like a lamp left unlit. Its power remains unseen, its light unused. I challenge you to start small. Begin with one lesson. Maybe it's recognizing when you're seeking approval and consciously choosing to turn inward instead. Or maybe it's setting a boundary that protects your energy. Or simply taking 5 minutes tonight to reflect honestly on your day. Each step you take builds momentum. Each choice strengthens the foundation of your inner fortress. And as you grow, you'll notice something incredible. You'll begin to live with a peace that doesn't depend on others. You'll wake up motivated by your own values, not by likes, comments, or external applause. You'll carry yourself with a quiet confidence that says, I am enough. And when that happens, life changes. Relationships improve, stress lessens, and opportunities align with your true purpose. This transformation isn't always easy. It's a daily practice, a commitment. But the freedom it brings is profound. So if you found value in these lessons, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. Drop a comment below. Tell me which lesson spoke to you most, or share your own journey toward inner strength. And if you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe. Because this community is about more than just watching videos. It's about growing together, supporting each other on the path to personal freedom. Remember, no one else can walk your path for you. But you're not alone. We're all here, taking the steps, facing the struggles, choosing growth every day. Keep showing up for yourself. Stay disciplined, stay true, and most importantly, stay unshakable. Because your greatest power has always been within. Thank you for being part of this journey. Until next time, take care, and keep building the life only you can live.